Sure.
And we still haven't got a TIF application.
Right.
So originally the budget, the same budget where we unanimously supported the library, we did have a lot of discussion on whether we should allow this placeholder for $16 million, because without it, you don't, if it's there, you don't need a 2/3 vote. And so that did succeed. So it is in there, but it could be more. We don't know what they're negotiating still. More behind the scenes negotiations that the council's not part of.
Yeah.
And so we don't know when that's even going to be ready.
Sure. That was a great summary of sort of where we're at, and there's been some positive things happen, some maybe not enough yet. And Mike, it's odd because this is in the 2nd district, but really a lot of the constituents that are impacted by it are across the street in your district. And I've noticed you've been kind of quiet. You've been to all the meetings, and but you haven't really said a lot at the meetings. Where do you think we are in the process? I mean, have there been enough changes? How's the neighborhood feeling about this? What sort of happened from the neighborhood's perspective a little bit?
Well, I think most of the residents that will be most immediately impacted by the Edgewater development, if it moves forward, are pretty still disappointed in the current status of the development. I mean, there's no doubt about that. I continue to hear a lot of folks say in the neighborhood that they are very concerned about the height, as Marcia articulated, concerned about parking and traffic issues on a more practical level if the development as proposed is built. There's a myriad of issues. One of the ones for me that gets me the most is, we mentioned at the outset of this segment, how long I've been in office. I have fought and defended the Mansion Hill Historic District from the first day I stepped in City Hall. I have said absolutely no way to any development that's been over the 50-foot height limit that Marcia articulated in her summary. And I've also been there, done that with a number of mom and pop property owners who were struggling with the Madison Landmarks Commission about what type of doors or windows to install. So when you look at the micro level of how much care we've taken in trying to preserve the historic integrity of the Mansion Hill Historic District, which is the City of Madison's very first local historic district, and then you look at this, what some certainly can easily describe as a monstrosity, a 9-story building that could go up in the historic district, it just doesn't connect for me. So a lot of folks who think that I'm maybe reasonable on development and have a lot of experience under my belt over the years of dealing with large and small downtown development projects, wondering why I'm not enthusiastic in any way, shape, or form about the proposal. And as of today, I'm still not. I mean, I'm absolutely not. I do think that the vast majority of my constituents that live in the Mansion Hill neighborhood do not support the project as of today. Sure. Now, if they could deal with the height and massing of the building, it would be another question. And I'm not saying a 50-foot height limit is a line in the sand, but I will acknowledge and appreciate the hard work that Marcia and others have done to nudge the developer, the Hamas company, along to make these modifications over the last several months. But I honestly don't believe that they meet the standards of our Plan Unit Development Ordinance. I honestly don't believe that they meet the standards set forth, as Marcia has mentioned, in our Landmarks Ordinance. Everything about this has been very unorthodox, to say the least. It's the singular most divisive project in my tenure, bar none. It's been handled poorly on all sides. I mean, it's totally sapped all energy out of our city staff, who are distracted no end dealing with this. I could go on and on and on, and I'm sorry if I'm belaboring the point, but just to say that as of today, unless there are further modifications, I don't see how I can, in good conscience, support this. I will say that it seems like I'm, as of today, in the minority among my council colleagues when it comes to the land use issues, and I will again give them props for making the modifications, and I can understand why folks on the Urban Design Commission, the Plan Commission, were giving them credit for that, but I just don't think it's enough, at least for me. Lastly, let me say, in terms of the tax incremental financing and the supposed $16 million that, or thereabouts, that they're seeking, as Marcia said, we don't have an application. The negotiations, I don't think, have jump-started again, as far as I know, in terms of the latest incarnation of their proposal. But I think in terms of the sheer politics of it, the harder vote for many of our council colleagues is that TIF vote. I mean, I've talked to many alders who, frankly, don't have a problem with the land use, unlike me, but their big problem that they have is, and given the tight economy, given all the pressing city needs, how can we give $16 million to this, private hotel development?
Sure. Well,
So we do have a lot of things to decide once, because we didn't even mention the waterfront setback. So at some point, the council took a waterfront setback, whether there's a certificate of appropriateness from Landmarks Commission, the PUD standards, whether they're met, and I said the waterfront setback and the TIF. So there's like 4. And did we finish with the 65 ordinance completed?
No.
So there's
Still get to
like
vote on
5
that.
decisions and wrapped up in this decision.
right,
Amending the TIF district is another step
I
in
would
the
say,
TIF Joint Review Board.
one of my big concerns is that, all of this is going to land on everybody's plate all at once, and people are, like you said, going to be so exhausted that when it comes to it, people are just going to vote and get it over with.
Well, look at the
And there's
Plan
this
Commission. I
long
mean, I don't
list.
want to make
Yeah.
anything personal against plan commissioners. Many of the plan commissioners I consider friends of mine. They do person's work.
Yeah.
They're all public servants, uncompensated. But I was blown away at the very little amount of discussion that the
I
Plan
was too.
Commission spent on this, again, monumental project, most divisive project in recent memory, et cetera, et cetera. And I think a lot of it is what you're saying, Brenda.
And they didn't even discuss either the conditional use or the 1965 ordinance. They just made
Zero
a motion
discussion.
to approve it, and there was a
Like that.
second, and it was done. It was the last 3 minutes of the meeting, and both those things just passed, and that was it.
Mm-hmm.
I was dumbfounded. I'm guessing you were disappointed too, because
I
you were
was.
counting on them addressing a lot of the issues that
I
were
really
still-
was. I thought we had done a lot of heavy lifting at Urban Design, and it was now Plan Commission's turn. I was not very satisfied with what they did.
Sadly, I think they punted. Again, no disrespect to them. I usually am quite impressed with them, but they've spent more time on much smaller, less important, if you will, projects in my district over the years of the Plan Commission. I mean, literally, I can think of some projects where they've spent more time about something in a backyard than they did if you actually measure the discussion that they spent on this huge project. It just didn't make sense.
All right, well, we're going to have to take a break, and we'll give you guys an opportunity to donate to WILU. You can go online or call in and pledge. And I'd like to thank you guys for coming.